Hi, everyone. Welcome to Natural Resources, Agriculture, and Open Space Subcommittee of the E&T Committee. It's March 11th, 2021. Okay, we have 3 bills on the agenda. We'll start with 802. It's a Calvert County Sunday hunting bill. Patrick, do you want to tell us? Oh, and there is an amendment. Patrick, do you want to tell us about the amendment?
Yes. Well, the bill puts, as James would call it, Calvert County Tier 1 of Sunday hunting, which joins them with 5 other counties and gives them the ability to authorize Sunday hunting for all game birds and mammals during the open season. And the amendment takes out a provision that allows in Calvert County Sunday hunting on public land. So this would, in the end, with the amendment, just be on private land.
Okay, do we have a motion on the amendment?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm sorry, any opposed? No, okay. All right, so we now have a Calvert County Sunday hunting bill before us without public lands after the amendment. Any discussion, any motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
That's fine.
We have certain expectations and okay, so that's okay. So the bill passes as amended. Jerry, sorry to bring this up, but because we amended it, you might want to get your delegation letter. I think last time you wrote as amended and sent it again.
Okay, I'll get one.
Say
Okay.
as amended and put the amendment number on it. That'd be perfect.
Yeah, I'll get Melinda to do that. We'll take care of that.
Do it however Patrick says. I heard him say put the amendment.
That's right. Put the amendment on it. Right. Amendment number.
Amendment number, I think.
We'll get that to you, Patrick.
Great.
Okay. Let's go to House Bill 991. This is a forest mitigation banking qualified preservation bill. We've had the hearing, we talked about it in subcommittee rather extensively, either last week or 2 weeks ago, probably last week. Patrick has been working on the amendments. There's basically, well, the way I think of it, as 2 major amendments. The first is to amend the bill so it fits the program I refer to as in September, before the AG's opinion. The second amendment, we're amending on language straight out of the 2019 study bill, forest study bill, just because that expired. But we have been in contact with the Hughes Center. They are working on it. They do expect to finish that project this year. The language that you'll see in the bill gives them another 2 years, but we're not expecting them to use it. They say that they can finish it this year. But it's a very complicated, it's not necessarily a complicated bill, but it's a very complicated subject area. So Patrick, would you give a better explanation of the amendments, please?
Well, you just explained some of them. The amendments put the bill or put the program back to where it was in September. One of the pieces of the biggest piece of the amendment, to me at least, is that added language that requires the forest that is conserved only count 50% towards the mitigation requirements. And then, of course, we add in the requirement for the report, which had sunsetted. It's the exact same language, a couple typos, I'll fix those. And then there is also language added that grandfathers in mitigation credits that have been awarded and projects that are in the pipeline And then finally, it states the intent of the General Assembly that when we do get the technical study, that they fully intend to review it and review the requirements of the Forest Conservation Act and address any changes that need to be made, especially, well, including with respect to forest mitigation banks. That language is specific in the technical study.
I just want to bring up two things. Patrick, thank you for giving us a reprint. On page 4 of 5 of the reprint, that's where the 50% of the forest area encumbered is written. That's the 2-to-1 language you referred to.
Correct.
So under that language, if a project needs 10 acres of mitigation, they would need to do 20 acres of forest mitigation banking to approve that, because only half counts, right?
If they don't do anything on site, yeah.
Secondly, I want to ask you, at the very end, I believe there was a typo in the reprint you sent out. Is that all fixed?
No, this is, we're working on the same reprint that I sent out, but it will be fixed, yes.
Okay.
I move the amendments, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All right. On the amendments, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the bill as amended is before us. Is there any, oh, I'm sorry, there's hands up. I'm sorry, Delegate Otto and Delegate Ruth.
Well, I spoke and moved the amendment, so I'm good if Delegate Ruth has anything else.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. So the amendment about the intent to take up this act again after the report is uncodified language, is that right?
Correct.
So there's nothing about it that's binding, it's just.
No, uncodified language is binding.
Is it?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Patrick, where is that the language in section 4?
For the intent,
Mm-hmm.
section 5.
Okay, I see it. Section 5. Delegate Jay Jacobs is waving his hand.
How you doing?
Good.
All right. I just was curious as to whether Mr. Gardner and Mr. Ballantyne can remark on these amendments to satisfy their concerns.
Well, thank you, Delegate Jacobs. This is Adrian Gardner. I hope everybody can hear me. I'm unfortunately not able, I'm using my phone right now, not able to use the camera, but good afternoon. And let me just say that I want to thank everybody for working on these, Patrick and everyone on the committee staff and your chairman. We're perfectly satisfied with the amendments and really think that the committee's done great work on a difficult issue and balanced all the objectives, I think, and it's all been in good faith. So thank you for that request.
Me too, Mr. Chairman.
Well, thank you both. We do try to work through all the issues together. Delegate Jacobs, do you have anything else?
I'm okay with Bill. I just wanted to verify, that's all.
Any other discussion? Any motion?
We already got a motion in a second.
Oh, okay. That's right, we did. All right. All those in favor of the bill say aye or raise your hand.
Mr. Chair, may I explain my vote?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have significant concerns about this, and I do think we need to look at this, particularly after the report comes out, to ensure that we're doing the best that we can for, reforestation and forest But, I also recognize that there's a need for this right now. And, Baltimore County has told me that they urgently need this. And so I'm voting yes, but I do hope that we take this up after the technical report comes out. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Was there anyone opposed? All right. Did anyone? Okay, I think we're done with that unless someone wants to. Okay, I think we're done with that. Okay, that bill passes as amended. I'm just making some notes so I know where we are. Okay, the third bill on the agenda is the carbofuran bill. Now, we had the hearing. We talked about it in subcommittee a week or two ago. And I'd like to, I don't know that we want to vote on anything, but I want to get a sense of where the subcommittee is on this.
I could say something, Mr. Chairman.
Delegate Jacobs?
I know that one of my big concerns during the original hearing was that, it was a pesticide that was banned in 2009, and yet there was no program to get rid of it, and there was no, you couldn't transport it legally. So my concern was how we were going to get rid of it. And before we had our first subcommittee hearing, the Department of Ag came up with a program to provide a means to get rid of the pesticide. So I'd answered my biggest concern. And then in looking at it further, I see that NRP already has the authority to seize carbofuran as part of a wildlife investigation. And there's already penalties associated with the misuse of it. So I don't see any reason to pass the bill at this point. So I move unfavorable.
Well, wait,
We're not planning.
I'll second the motion.
Oh, my word. Oh, my word. Delegate Ruth.
I understand that about the Department of Agriculture, but the concern is still about bad actors who are using this, poisoning, wildlife, which is then eaten by other wildlife. And I guess, my question is, if there is a program already, first of all, what is the difference between this and the program that's already out there to confiscate in wildlife investigations? Is this Patrick? Is this Patrick's bill?
So how is this different? To be honest, I think the Department of Natural Resources, I would have to contact them just to discuss the nature of their enforcement authority.
Well, James is here.
Yeah.
Maybe James could answer that.
Yeah, so I just, make the observation that I made previously in the subcommittee that, this bill is not pushing the envelope on our enforcement capabilities. We already have the enforcement tools and authority, short of repealing the Fourth Amendment, on busting, barns down. I say that in jest, but, this bill is not giving us anything new. We continue to do our best.
I think Mark Sutherland wants to say something.
If I may, Chairman.
Yes.
Again, I'm Mark Sutherland with Safe Skies, Maryland. And I'm basing my advocacy for this bill on the history of the wildlife investigations the last 10 years. And Frank Kunsier, who was the U.S. Fish and Wildlife agent, who was very much involved with that, along with, Department of Natural Resources over that period of time. And he feels very strongly, and I support him, that without this bill, the bad actors will still hide the stuff because it will still be used. It's a lucrative practice for them to hunt these ducks, and they do get taken by predators. So we just think that it hasn't stopped it with the current situation where things are, that this bill needs to make it illegal for these folks to put out a disincentive for them to do that. We think it's important that we have this bill in place for that purpose.
Delegate Ruth, anything else?
So Mark, what, maybe you can better answer this question, is how, is it the penalties that are stronger in this bill? What is it that makes this bill stronger compared to the enforcement that happens now?
Well, I think the key thing is that, you have to make the link. Detective work is hard. And so the agents that are doing their best in the field, and oftentimes it takes a lot of work to deal with just one episode. And we know that there's many more deaths out there than have been recorded because these kinds of things are hard to find. And they have to make this link between an actual death, finding a bait, and finding the material. And that's a difficult thing to do. And if they do find the material, can they actually make the case that this material went to the bait and was used illegally? If the material is no one can't be held, then that solves the problem. In other words, as long as the material is legally on the shelf, then they have a very hard time making the case. And this makes that case much easier for them, allows them to do their job easier. Certainly what I've heard from the Fish and Wildlife agent, Frank Consier, whose testimony you have as well. So I think that's the real key point, is that it's just hard to make those links.
Thank you. And I guess Kristin, maybe. So there are penalties in this bill, misdemeanor fine of $1,500 and a second offense fine of up to $4,000. Are those stronger than current penalties?
Those penalties, again, this is Mark just speaking, that those are comparable to wildlife injury penalties. So I think that they're more than just having the wrong pesticide.
Thank you. Kristin, can you address that?
Sure. And so they are modeled off the penalty provisions relating to wildlife crimes. And then there are pesticide applicator penalty provisions that are a little less, where under the pesticide applicator law, it would be a civil penalty not to exceed $2,500 for the first. Well, for that's a higher, the civil penalty is higher, $2,500 first violation, $5,000 for subsequent violations. And then there's a misdemeanor penalty provision under the pesticide applicators law. That would be a fine up to $1,000 or up to 60 days in jail. But I do believe the penalties in the bill as introduced were modeled after the wildlife violations. And then also we do have an amendment from the sponsor that was handed out in today's materials that do reduce the penalties a little bit in the bill as introduced. So the first violation would be a fine not exceeding $1,000 instead of $1,500 as stated in the bill. It would reduce the fine for a second or subsequent violation from $4,000 to $3,000 and jail time from 1 year to 60 days. That's the amendment.
Thank you.
Okay, I see a couple of hands raised. Okay, so I think there's 3 people who want to talk. We've got Delegate Otto, Delegate Wells, and Delegate Stein.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I hope I'm not muted, I don't think. Can you hear me? I heard a gentleman say something about ducks, and I never heard anything. I think Mr. Sutherland, you mentioned something about ducks in this whole process, and I hadn't heard anything about ducks and their threat in this process.
Well, Delegate Otto,
I'd like a little explanation on that. But
Delegate Otto, we don't want to redo the hearing, but Mr. Sutherland,
but he mentioned it today.
I know.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Sutherland, please answer, but we don't want to recreate the hearing.
Sure. Basically, the duck issue is the fact that caged ducks are provided for hunting, and those are the ones that are threatened by predators, and that's when the carbofuran is used to kill the predators, to protect the ducks that are, a business proposition for the bad actors that we were talking about.
So this is hypothetical things that you're talking about, that they're trying to protect things that they're trying to support the wildlife and improve the duck population.
Well, these are captive ducks that are released for hunting. And so this is carbofran is used by illegally to protect those ducks from foxes and predators like that.
Well, I don't think there's that much out there, and I think we ought to change the bill to support $100,000 going to a program at the Department of Agriculture to capture unused pesticides, and just like carrying your medicines to the state police barracks or to the health department. I'll leave it at that, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I think Delegate Wells and Delegate Stein.
Mr. Chair, I was just gonna put a motion out to hold the bill. We are approaching 20 minutes before the floor, but even regardless of that, I did talk to the bill sponsor. I guess there's something else that she might be trying to work out in addition to the amendments. So I would like to put a motion for it to hold the bill.
Okay. Delegate Stein, did you have anything to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask James if he could comment on what Mark said, that this bill would give NRPs more links or a stronger ability to, I guess, collect evidence, link, owners of carbofran with what seem to be wildlife deaths.
Yeah.
I think
James
we
here?
lost. I think we lost James.
Okay, well, then I'll try to get in touch with him offline.
Okay, so we have an unfavorable motion. And then we have a motion to hold the whole thing to a future date. Let's hold it. And we have 20 minutes, well, we have 17 minutes till the floor, so maybe we can get something. Okay, thank you all and see you soon.